Now I'm joined by Robin Edwards of Therapy Works. She's a speech language pathologist, and today we're going to talk about total communication. So let's find out what all that is about. Hey, Robin.
Hi, Gary. I have to compliment you as well, just like 99.1 did. Like, you're doing a great job holding down your fort by yourself. It's big shoes to fill, but you
I know two people's shoes to fill.
Right? Yeah. Big clown feet you're walking around with. No. Just kidding. Okay, so today we're here to talk about total communication, right? So many times I get parents coming to me saying, I just want my kids to talk. And I know they're saying it with the best of intentions, but communication is so much bigger and there's so much more to it than just speech.
Really? Like, I don't know. For me, I'm just thinking, as a layman, I'm just thinking, we speak to somebody, most times it's a question and answer basis or relaying a story, and the person hears it and they respond on what they hear.
Well, but exactly, like how much just had to happen for, you're making it sound like, oh, they just respond. No, you can't, you don't just respond. So communication as a process has three main parts. You have a sender, a message, and a receiver. So first, the sender has to be able to organize its thoughts, organize the ideas, and then they have to be able to encode that message. Predominantly, we use speech to encode it, but it could be encoded through writing, sign language, gestures, facial expressions. There are many ways to encode a message. And what total communication refers to is not ever just using one way. Okay. Let's enhance our message. Let's make sure that the message that we're trying to send is going to be interpreted or decoded correctly by the receiver.
So, for instance, as you were gesticulating there, was that one of the methods then of encoding as well?
Well, you all have been seeing me for a little bit now. I tend to talk a lot with my hands. So whether that's a good thing or bad thing, it's just something I do. I don't know if it's a speech therapy thing. But yes, it is part of encoding it. It's by gesturing, you're drawing attention to how important a part of the message is. When you're talking to kids, now total communication was initially developed for the hearing impaired or deaf community, but it has now been applied to language learning, kids with language learning disorders, Down syndrome, many different communities. Right? I forgot where I was going with that. No, so the point is you want to really, by using like a visual schedule, by using gestures, if you're telling a kid, if you're giving a kid a command, go and get your school bag, put on your shoes, and then come back here, by applying gestures to the command or to the request, you are increasing the probability of comprehension.
I see.
Proper comprehension occurring, not just half,
Right,
the full message being understood, being decoded appropriately and received the way you want it received, as opposed to, go get your shoes and the kid comes back with a book. Right. There's a breakdown there. So what total communication is referring to is how can we decrease the breakdowns in communication that occur between a sender and a receiver.
How does this relate to kids who are on the spectrum of the different unique neuro processes?
So now I think this is something that we can use. I use it with my stroke patients. So you're talking about neuro and neurological incidents or traumas. So stroke is what immediately comes to mind for me, or traumatic brain injury. So that's like somebody that's been in a car accident. This is 100% a technique that you want to use with those people in your life. Making lists, making choices. If you have a topic that you want to bring up with somebody, you want to ask them if they're hungry or if they're thirsty, you can write down hungry, thirsty. They can point it, even if they can't vocalize or verbalize their choice, right? Kids with autism, it refers to using a visual schedule, which just, all that refers to is letting a kid know what's first, what's next, what's last, what's going to be happening in their life. It allows them to organize themselves. It allows them to be prepared, you know? So, yes, I mean, I'm talking about it from in terms of people with disabilities or people with maybe language or communication impairments. But really, if you think about your interaction just on a general day-to-day basis with people, how often are there communication breaks? How
Right.
often do we have to repair our communication
Right.
with people? Maybe we misunderstand what somebody said. Maybe somebody misunderstood what we were saying. It happens a lot now with that's why emojis and so are great with text messages.
Right.
Because that's another way of making sure that the message that we're imparting is being decoded or received appropriately.
Oh yes, most definitely, because I've had numerous occasions where just text wasn't enough because then it was misconstrued to mean something else.
Yeah.
And then you're in a difficult situation
Yeah.
that you have to explain.
I mean, and texting has evolved in its own right to, when you put something in all caps, when you use exclamation marks, when you use emojis, when you use abbreviations, the message that you are sending is going to be decoded in different ways.
Yeah, that's right.
And we actually repair communication breakdowns very frequently. And the thing is we do it without necessarily even being aware of it. Many times during the day. But for our kids, and not just kids with language or learning disabilities or any kind of language challenge, just speaking to kids in general, when you're reading a story to a child, nobody wants to hear a story where you're like, there is a sender, and the sender first has to know what their message is. Make it exciting, add gestures,
Right.
use your intonation, change your facial expression. It is going to enhance the experience. The whole communicative experience is going to be made better. It's going to be made more meaningful by just some of those small tweaks.
So if there's one piece of advice you can give to parents in regards to improving their communication with their kids.
I have it written down here. Put down your phones. That is going to be a big thing because communication cannot happen effectively or efficiently if attention does not exist.
Right.
If I'm talking to you and you're like, Robin, yeah, and you're scrolling through your phone, you're not attending to me. Therefore, you're not receiving my message fully, right? And for kids or for our loved ones who maybe have had a stroke or something else, communicating is that much more of a challenge for them. So pay attention to them. Let them know that you're giving them your full attention when they're trying to tell you something. Read the context that they're talking to you in. Offer them choices so that you can make smart guesses. And it makes, as I said, the whole experience that much more meaningful.
And yeah, as you said, just put down the phone.
I mean, you wanted one piece of advice.
Perfect way to close this one off.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much, Robin Edwards, speech language pathologist with Therapy Works. It has been Therapy Works, and now we've been speaking about total communication.
It's always a pleasure to be here, so thank you for having us.